Shall we go?
Yes, yeah, carry on.
Okay. A very good evening to one and all, and a wonderful welcome. Before we formally begin, let me ask you all something. When was the last time you actually enjoyed writing something? Not a lesson plan, not a feedback, not emails that start with kindly note. I mean, real writing. The kind that makes you pause, think, and reflect what you feel. Hold on to that thought because today's session is all about that. Let's begin with a quick reflective activity. So I'm going to begin with a sentence. I'm going to read aloud for you, and you have to complete it, whatever comes to your thoughts. As we'll be going popcorn styles, everybody please be ready with your responses. So the sentence goes something like this. Good writing begins when?
Ashvia, I think Shereen got cut.
Oh,
Due to
all right.
network issue. Can we pause
Okay.
for a while? I don't want to.
Sure, definitely.
Yes. Teachers, please ensure that you ask questions towards the end of the session. Okay, clarify your doubts. Even though you're not teaching writing, at least ask whatever basics of writing that you want to know about. Maybe the learning you can use it for future. Okay. Yeah. Shireen, are you there?
I think she's out of the meeting, ma'am. She's not, she's
She's
back.
joined back. She's joined back.
Yeah, back.
Yes.
Hi,
Uma?
sorry,
Yeah. No worries.
I think there was some issue with the internet. I'm not sure if it's because of the weather, but I'm back now.
Is it fine now? We are audible?
Yes, all
Yeah.
good, yes.
All right, Ruman, if you could check if Miss Radhika is joining or not. Yeah.
Ma'am, she's joining. She's facing some internet issue.
No worries.
So,
We are continuing.
trying to join.
Ashwin, please carry on.
Shall we roll again? Yeah.
Yeah.
So good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all. Before we formally begin, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually enjoyed writing something? Not lesson plans, not writing feedback, or not writing emails that begin with kindly note. I mean, real writing. A kind that makes you pause, think, and feel something. So hold on to that thought because today's session is all about but reflective activity. I'm going to read one sentence aloud to you and you have to complete it. As we'll be going popcorn styles, everybody, please be ready with your responses. So the sentence goes something like this. Good writing begins when? Miss Hema.
When you actually want to say something. Am I audible?
Yes, Miss Hema, yes, you are.
Am I audible?
Ashwin has a network issue now.
Am I audible, everyone?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Audible, but we are not able to see you. I think there's some problem with the camera, perhaps, but we're able to hear you.
Ashwin, you can continue. I think the net. Okay, she's got. Right, let's continue. Good writing begins when? Her prompt. Hema says, Hema, could you repeat your response?
When you actually want to say something.
Okay, Simran?
When you read something or witness something and you're reflecting on it.
Okay, reflection. Deepika?
When you have the right words to express yourself.
Right words. Okay. Sana? Oh, okay. Sana is out. Sanya?
For me, good writing would begin when I feel something truly.
Interesting. What about Divyal? Jashin?
Ma'am, for me, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. So for me, good writing begins when I'm consistent. So on day one, I can sit with my writing things, and again on day two, again and day three. So it's consistent.
Okay. Consistency. Jashin? Okay. Sana has an interesting insight. She says when you observe and reflect, it's a combination of what Simran and I think Hema also mentioned the same, when you have something to say. Yes. Can we have, okay. Roman, what do you think good writing is? Good writing
Ma'am,
begins.
good writing begins when we have something to, express, which we are keeping our emotions from, we are keeping our emotion from, like, withhold for the long time, and then
Correct.
everything recollects, and then we start it.
Correct, correct. So it's an expression of your emotions that you're going through, you're dappling with, and you want to put it out down somewhere. And that's the best way to write it down and understand, what you feel like. Excellent. So Ashvi also asked us one question. When was the last time you wrote something meaningful, deeply, not those formal style writings? Anybody? Anyone who's a journal buff? Anybody here? Okay, Shireen. Same league. Yes, same.
Not a day I can pass without doing that. It has to be an
Absolutely.
everyday
Right.
activity.
So we did it this morning. What about others? When was the last time you sat down to write something? Even if that's writing had no sense, but you wanted to write something down. Yeah. Jashan, no? Deepika? Not yet?
Mm, yes, when we are in great pressure, when I'm very stressed out, or when I think that I am
Yeah.
very helpless and there is nothing to do, then I start writing on my diary that what is happening to me and how can I come out of this, and
That's
it
wonderful.
helps me a
Absolutely.
lot.
You're right. And I think this has happened with us, so especially living in this age, we do understand we're grappling with so many things and balancing so many balls. And I think we need to, when we write it down, we're able to organize our thoughts and then put them into different compartments. That's what I love about writing. Speaking does not give us a chance to redo it. It's like instant in the moment you have to speak, but writing is like unleashing the power within us. So Ashvia, please take it up from here. Yeah. Oh, unmute. Ladies, what's wrong with you all today?
Apologies, I had a power cut, so I had to switch immediately. Humble apologies.
Great
Okay,
timing. Continue. Yeah.
all right. So, Miss Hema, you were my pick.
Okay,
Good.
I've conducted the round for you. Let's continue after that. Yeah. So they've all said that good writing begins when they observe, reflect, when they have something to say, to express emotions. Yes.
Surely, surely. And I think that beautifully brings us to our today's theme, right? Write like a thinker. And this session, I'm sure, is not just going to improve our writing output, but it's also going to nurture the intent, the clarity, and the voice that we can deliver to our students. So, without wasting a lot of time, it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for today, someone who truly embodies the balance between structure and creativity. Born and raised in Dubai with deep roots in Kashmir, Ms. Shirin Mir brings together professionalism and storytelling in ways that feel both grounded and inspiring. She's a certified human resources manager with over 11 years of experience in education industry in Dubai. Currently working with GEMS Education, the world's largest private education provider. Alongside her professional responsibilities, Ms. Mir has conducted and nurtured her passion for writing. She is a published poet in both English and Urdu, with her works featured in national publications such as Gulf News. And she has been shortlisted among the top 100 poets at the Emirates Airline Festival of Literature. Her journey is an example that creativity and professionalism don't need to exist in separate worlds. A belief that perfectly aligns with our topic today. So, without a further ado, at this point, I would like to hand it back this event to Ms. Tarannum, who will formally take the session forward. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Ashvia. Thank you, him. All right, ladies. So for the longest time, I believed this. I don't know if your answer is true or false. Great writers are born and not made. What's your response to this? True or false? Put your answer in the chat. If it's a T, true, put T. And if it's a false, put F. Great writers are not born, they are made. They're not born. Okay, so you guys say it's a false that they are not born.
Ma'am, I have a contradicting answer, so I'm
Yes,
not
yes,
sure what to put.
yes,
Ma'am, I feel a person can also become a circumstantial writer, you know. Maybe they may not have a good vocabulary at the very
okay,
young age of their lives, but
right,
with experiences and everything, I think it can be inculcated if,
yes,
you know, someone
okay,
takes a leap towards it. So,
right.
yeah.
That
Thank you,
that
Ash.
was exactly what I was typing in the chat box, and before I could complete it, you went ahead. So I absolutely agree with what Miss Ashwaya is saying.
So
I'm
I
on
try to
that side of
believe for the longest time that great writers, they're born. They're not made. It's not something that you can learn it. Probably social conditioning, probably my own self-belief and self-doubt made me realize that yes, this is how it is. Even though I loved writing, I absolutely enjoyed the process of writing. But as I moved forward in life and I began finding writing as my true passion, I realized that you don't need to have great vocabulary, as a lot of people say that, oh, you to become an author, you need a lot of vocabulary, you need to be reading a lot of books. Yes, you should if you can. But if you can't, you have an idea that you want to execute it, or you want to uh, share it with the world, you need a voice. And I think writing is a way to share your voice. Speaking, I've seen a lot of speakers, not good writers, but I've always seen that people have great ideas. It's your own self belief that stops them from expressing their ideas, whether through writing, whether through speaking. This has been my self belief for the longest time. But when I began and I made up my thought and my self belief that yes, I'm going to be writing a book, I realized that you do not need a great story, great lofty vocabulary. All you need is the simplicity of your writing that you already have. You have to embrace your style, the tone at which you write, and the substance that you bring, because the story that you're going to share is going to be yours. It's like your unique footprint that you have, the unique DNA that you have. That that was something that shifted my mindset about writing. And from then on, very candidly, to you guys, yes, I've been into teaching, so I started seeing every child as a writer, and that perception shaped my thoughts that yes, I'm going to be helping each and every child, not just to become writers, but to empower them to share their thoughts, their ideas, and their unique perspective with the world. That's what I love about writing. With Shireen, my association began 10 years ago. Yeah, it's like a it seems like eons, but yes, that's the true statement. It began 10 almost 10 years ago when we worked in the same organization. And what I love about this girl is her love for learning, her love for poetry, and a love for human connection. I've always seen her coming forth with new ideas. She's bubbling with something that she wants to share with the world, and she will not mince her words when she wants to say something. That's what I love about her, and I've learned her. Even though our association was very brief, we kept in touch. We have mutual likings for each other's work, and I've always felt very proud of all the work that and accomplishments that she's had in this journey. And when I asked her, she readily agreed to do a writing session for all of you. So today is the right time for you to learn something new, because that's the fuel that we need as teachers. Is something new that we learn. And Shireen is the person who can give you that fuel. She who can light up that spark, that curiosity that you may have about writing. So to end it, do remember to take notes, and I'm going to open the floor for Shireen to now take up the workshop ahead. We're all waiting to see what.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anum. That's really kind of you. I'm beyond words. Thank you so much. So I'll be sharing my screen. Just give me a heads up once you can see the first slide, so I know we're on the right track.
Yeah, please go ahead. We can't see yet. Yeah, you've started sharing now. Yes. Yes, it's
I can
visible.
see the
Sure.
first slide, right? Okay. All right, great. So we are going to learn about how to write like a thinker. Now, the first question that was asked to all of you was, what exactly leads to good writing? And there were really interesting answers that I heard from all of you. I think you first need to be a thinker. There has to be, it starts at the level of a thought that comes in your mind, and only then you develop it further by adding words to it, adding emotions and feelings to it. We'll okay, before we move ahead, I would like to know from you all, since you're dealing with students so much, and the session today is going to be a little inclined towards how we can drive students to develop their writing. Since you're dealing with students, you all must be having at least that one or two students in your class who probably know the answers to everything that you have to say, but the moment you ask them to write something down, you see the struggle. Can I have maybe two or three of you to write in the chat box? What exactly is the struggle that you feel? Why are students so good with speaking, but probably not with writing? It could be anything simple, whatever you have noticed, whatever your observation has been over the years. If we could have a couple of you just to answer in the chat box, please.
Miss Shereen, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Yeah, I'm reading through the answers and I'm seeing how relatable these are. Mm-hmm. Lazy, yes. Not having the vocabulary, yes. Mm-hmm. Don't know how to express in words. Okay. Yes. So they know the answers to a lot of things that you ask them, but they just don't know to find the right words to be able to give you the right answer. And yes, as Miss Sanya says, they fear judgment. They don't know whether the answer will be right or wrong. Will they be reprimanded for that? If it's not right, then the embarrassment and so on. Okay. All right. So when we look at students who are struggling with writing, especially in English, the issue is not always necessarily vocabulary or their grammar. It's that they're writing before they are thinking what they're supposed to write. And this session today is not about adding more rules, but it's about giving students thinking frameworks that naturally improve their writing. Yes?
Ma'am, you are on mute.
Oops. Sorry, I think I'm pressing a shortcut that's going in. Is my screen visible?
Yes,
Yes,
yes. Please continue.
So by the end of this workshop, you'll be able to apply thinking-based models that help students generate clearer, more purposeful ideas, use advanced micro techniques to strengthen students' writing structure and reasoning, and of course, design high engagement writing tasks that build critical thinking, intentional vocabulary use, and reflective writing habits in diverse learners. Okay, I have taken down some notes on my Word file as well as I read through. Just let me know if you can see that as well. Can you see it?
No, we can only see the PPT, the presentation, not the Word file.
Okay, okay. All right, now mind. We'll go through with the slides only then. So how does the writer's thinking cycle work? Number one, you have to notice as a writer, what do I see? What do I observe? What do I feel? Number one. Number two, select out of these things that I have noticed, which are the ideas that really matter into what I'm going to present, what the final result is going to be. Number three, you arrange these ideas according to the order of what makes sense as to what you want to show. And number four, express how do I say it clearly. So now you have what you want to tell, a lot of things that you've gathered together. Second thing would be to filter down from those what are the ideas that actually matter into what I want to talk about. Number three, you arrange them according to how you want it to be. And number four, you refine it and then you present the final picture. So, on a very surface level, these are the four steps to a writer's thinking cycle. The answer to this question is what a lot of you have given me already as we began. Why do students struggle with purposeful writing? Now, again, there's one sort of academic or a formal writing that we have, and then there is, I won't really call it informal, but expressive writing. How many of you believe that a structure is really important when you're writing something? Is it important, first of all? And if yes, then why? Why can't I just write in any format that I feel connects with me?
I think it builds coherence in the writing, and it's easier for the writer to write and the reader to read and understand.
So if I, as a writer, feel that I have to write without a structure, but the audience, on the other hand, will not be able to gauge the exact picture that I want to convey if it is not in a proper structure that usually resonates with a lot of people. My writing is not really going to be very effective that way, right? So coming to the point that connects with it, number one, okay, Miss Hema has raised her hand. Yes, Miss Hema, please, you have something to share with us.
Yeah, the same thing. So that everything goes in a sequential manner and the audience is able to relate to what is being said and can follow what exactly is it that the person wishes to express.
Now, the outcomes, by the way, of today's session is not going to be about adding any more rules. I'm sure you all already know a lot since you're doing public speaking as well. Writing, I feel, is also a little bit of speaking, but you first speak to yourself, then you speak to the paper, and then you speak to the audience. So we'll deal with what students think before writing, during writing, and after writing. Okay. And the writer's thinking cycle, by the way, that I just spoke about is kind of the backbone of the entire workshop that we are going to be doing today. The reason students struggle is because they start writing before thinking. Now, let's say if you picturize your classroom, you have given a writing assignment to the students. How many times have you seen that the moment you give them a question, they're in a rush to write the answers immediately? They don't take a moment to pause, think, process the question, frame their thoughts, put it into the sequence, the four steps that we saw of the writing cycle, and then frame their sentences or then put the final result on paper. They're just in a rush to answer and immediately submit. Leading to second point, they don't have a mental framework. They don't have that structure, that mental structure that, okay, these are the steps that I need to follow in order to make sure that the final result that I have is exactly how I want to convey the point to be. Number three could be that they're overwhelmed with too many rules. That brings me to the question that I asked, that why do you think structure is important? If I, as a student, want to respond to a question without following a definite structure of the language, I will struggle when you ask me to write down something. Does not mean that I don't know the answer. It just means that I don't know how to present it in a way that is acceptable to you. The next reason why a student could be struggling with writing could be that he or she does not know what good writing actually means. And the last one being they rely on memorized sentences. So all in all these points relate to that common theme of thinking. You need to first make sure that your thinking is in line. It aligns with what you have to say, what you're being asked to convey, and then you go step by step and follow it. So when you as teachers, trainers, tell your students that, okay, you need to improve your writing, what they as students hear is don't make mistakes. But in reality, what you're actually trying to tell them, or what you should be trying to tell them, is think better. The point is not about not making mistakes, but thinking better so that your writing eventually turns out better. Coming to the next slide. Okay, these are pretty self-explanatory. I've also added an example here for us. So if you follow this principle in your classes, clear thought, clear sentence, I think it will help a lot of students in identifying what is expected from them and then giving out their answers accordingly. So number one, say the idea aloud first. You ask them to respond to you directly or talk to their peers by conveying their idea, what they want to convey. Number two, reduce it down to one clear message. So again, this comes to step number two of the writing, step number three of the thinking cycle, which is arranging and filtering your sentences. Third exercise would be to use anchor words. Make sure that the 4 Ws are covered in the answer that you're giving. That is who, what, when, and where. Even better if you can add why. And the last one being, you start with a simple sentence and then you arrange, you refine, you enhance it, and you come out to expand it, expand your initial idea into something more. For example, if you see on the screen a simple sentence, the park was fun and we did many things and it was very good. So suppose someone asks me, how was your trip to the park? Also, the park was fun, we did many things, yeah, it was good. How expressive or how descriptive do you think, if you have to rate this sentence on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate it? Anyone, where would you rate this sentence?
Around 4 to 5, maybe.
Okay, still being pretty generous. Because there are absolutely no details in the sentence. If I'm asking you, how was your trip? And you tell me it was fun, we did many things. How much of information are you conveying to me? Given that you had fun, you're saying you had fun and you did many things, which means you do have a lot of things to tell me. But when you just cover it up with a phrase like, we did many things, how will I, as a listener or as a reader, get the same vibe from you, get the exact understanding of why was it fun? Who were you with that made it fun? What did you do that made it fun? When did you go? So you see, we are not even answering the 4 Ws here. So I would say it's a bit of a difficult one. I would not call it a bad sentence, but a bit of a difficult one to understand. On the other hand, if you follow the clear thought, clear sentence principle, if you go by the four steps of the writing cycle and you enhance it a bit more, this is still not the perfect sentence, but if you enhance it a bit more, I could say, we played on the swings at the park. My favorite part was racing my brother. So we have answered on where I was, what did I do, why was it fun, and with whom did I go. You can now add on to these sentences. This is a simple sentence, and then you build on, expand on it, and then you give out a proper answer that lets the listener or the reader exactly feel how you wanted to convey the same excitement, the same palpable feeling reaching out to the next person. Do you see a difference between the before and the after?
Yes, yeah.
One of the reasons why novels are a hit till date, you see the language used. And when I say language, I don't mean the vocabulary. I mean the manner in which the sentences are framed. They are so expressive that by reading probably just a sentence or two in the novel, you're able to place yourself in the shoes of the protagonist, the main character of the person. So there's a reason why they are refined so many times. Even the publishers um, read and reread. There are so many sittings that happen with the author because they want the exact picture to be reaching the audience as the author or the writer intended it. Do we have any questions so far?
So,
Not really.
okay, you have a question, Ashwin?
No.
So, Shireen, if I could ask you one thing, in the previous
Mm-hmm.
slide, it's mentioned we use anchor words like who, what, where, when. So,
Mm-hmm.
do you suggest when we are asking these anchor questions so that they can anchor their, so these words become anchor for their thoughts? Um,
Mm-hmm.
do you say that we do it while they are writing, or it's kind of interrupting their writing to it, or we ask them to outline their thoughts in the form of a mind map or any graphic organizer, and then ask them to translate it in the form of a paragraph?
I would say, probably helping them use these sentences while they're in the process of writing without disrupting their flow. So when you give them suggestions right in the beginning, when you're instructing them, as
Mhm.
teachers, you give them a guideline or a standard that this is your question, and these are the kind of answers that are expected. Your answers should cover these points. So you give
Got
them
it.
a structure, let them
Right.
respond. Because
Understood.
once they are done with writing, then you ask them these questions and they have to redo it all over again, going from
Right.
scratch. So it's better to help them with these prompts while they are at it.
Hmm. Got it. Thanks.
Another helpful strategy would be the meaning first method for paragraphs. So when you're asking students to write something, ask them to answer these three questions before they're writing. Number one, what is the main point that I want to say, what I want to convey? Number two, what details support what I have to say? And number three, what final idea ends it well? And they don't have to answer this to you. Let them note it down as prompts for them to make sure that when they write down something, all the paragraph that they have written is covering these three, the answers to these three questions. So that will somewhat give them a structure as the last line in the slide suggests. So you have a main idea, then you add the supporting details, and then you give it a finish line, a decent closure to have a complete paragraph ready. So these three questions, as long as a paragraph is answering, we have a solid start, and then we move on to expand it. The cognitive ladder for writing. This ladder helps us push students upward, not just forward. So students, I feel, often get stuck at recalling what exactly happened. But purposeful writing climbs to understanding, that is the why, connection, so what, and inference, what does this mean, And lastly, creation, that is, how can I say this uniquely? So the four things that we're looking at is when they're writing something, you understand why I'm writing what I'm writing. Number two, the connection. Okay, now that I'm writing this, so what? What happens after this? Number three, you get an inference from what I have written. Whatever I have written, what does this mean? Is it exactly conveying what what I wanted to convey? And number four, the creation. How can I say this uniquely rather than using the same sentences over and over again? We've all had in our own school times, I'm sure, as kids, of course, when we had the answer to a question, but we just knew the answer in about two or three sentences, and the question was maybe, let's say, a 6 mark answer. And we used to add in words to expand the answer so that it reaches the length of a 6 mark or an 8 mark answer. Repeating sentences, therefore, hence, furthermore, additionally. So instead of going by that, this idea that I have, can I say it in a little more unique manner rather than repeating my sentences or talking about the same thing in different styles? So this is the cognitive ladder that a student can climb up one by one. Now, you may use this ladder to stretch or support a child's writing by asking prompts at the right level, depending on how much of help they need. If they don't, we don't touch. If they do, then we prompt them.
Shireen,
The
if you could give us some example for the cognitive ladder, what kind of writing you think would align to this kind of structure? Because all kinds of writing will not align with this.
Mhm.
Let's say
It
narrative
could
writing
be, it
goes
could be,
well
I
with.
would say,
Mm.
yes, descriptive or narrative writing would go well with this. Even,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're doing news articles. Are
Okay.
you doing reports and news articles for children
Yes. We do age
when they're writing?
appropriate, like,
Mm-hmm.
right.
So probably we
So this
can
is more
have
of an
these.
academic, if I'm right, this is more academic writing, not creative writing,
Yes, true.
right? It wouldn't fall under that category because here
Yes,
it's more structured. Creative writing is
yes,
not that structured. Okay, so for
yes,
teachers to understand this, right?
yeah.
Fair enough.
When you're giving written assignments to students,
Right.
article writing, news report writing, essays, for example,
Correct.
that's where I think the cognitive ladder would come into place.
Hmm. Even for reading comprehension, certain responses are open kind of questions. So for that
Mm-hmm.
also the kids could elaborate, keeping this structure in mind, especially
Yes.
who are teaching older classes who are here.
Mm-hmm.
This
Mm-hmm.
is also a very good structure or a
So
frame.
what is the maximum age limit of the students that you have?
For creative writing, we have students up till grade 7,
Mm-hmm.
from grade 1 to 7, and we also have English classes that runs up till grade 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure then for the senior school, you would definitely need it for their English.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, ladies. So any questions on this part as of yet? The cognitive ladder? Yeah, I'll take a look at the chat box as well. None. Okay, we'll move. We'll move ahead. The next prompt would be not a prompt, but a suggestion would be show, don't tell, for the young writer especially. Because telling gives information, but showing gives an experience. And when you teach students why showing matters, it helps the reader feel the purpose of the sentence. Now, again, we tell them that you're supposed to show the answer, don't just tell the answer, but we forget to explain why it is important. So, this point that telling gives information, but showing gives experience, and it is experience that stays with the reader or the listener more than the information that they receive. And experience is what makes your writing purposeful. So, this is not about using or flowery or poetic language, but it's about building that connection with the reader or with whoever you're responding to. So when you're asking a question, the answer that you're writing should not just tell me something, but make me feel what you're trying to say. So show, don't tell. We have show and tell. I'm familiar with that concept, but a slight twist to that will be show, don't tell. Don't just tell me what you did. make me experience what you did. So the first example that I had given going back, the clear thought, clear sentence principle. The question was, what did you do at the park? The answer, we played on the swings. My favorite part was racing my brother. So it gives a little bit of an image on what I did when I was at the park and why was it fun. An example, another one is here. So if the same sentence can be depicted as telling and showing, number one, telling would be, Sarah was nervous for her speech. Now, when I just say Sarah was nervous for her speech, you don't really picturize Sarah as to how nervous was she. But when you're showing the words that you use, the sentence structure, Sarah kept twisting her fingers, reading her notes again and again. So the students learn to ask, what action shows my idea better? What the student is trying to say is that this girl is nervous for her speech, but how can I use the right words or refine the sentence structure to show that she is nervous, not just tell that she is nervous. Next, I'll be touching upon some tools that will help you in building purpose and clarity with the students. A bit of surface level learning at this point. Again, we'll not go into much depth, but I'm sure this would give you a basic understanding and you can then revise it further in your classrooms. Number one, the precision swap activity. The purpose of this tool is to strengthen clarity through precise word choice. So how it works is you swap vague words for more sharper ones. Now, this could be a word bank that you're sharing with some students who are struggling with writing, or it could be that you let them write different words that give a bit more extreme sense of what they're trying to say. So a simple word like big, instead of the word big, you can use massive, towering, bulky. Instead of the word said, you can use whispered, argued, remarked. So this gives a bit more expression to what you're trying to say. Third suggestion was walked, trudged, hurried, wandered. So you, as teachers, can give a precision bank for each assignment for students who need it. Now, these sentences boost clarity, they boost imagery, tone control without making writing too flowery. None of these words are really very, very high level vocabulary. If you see, it's still very basic that they're able to, they as well as the reader are able to understand and use probably in their day-to-day conversation. So first tool would be the precision swap. You use basic words and then you give them more sharper words to convey the same thing but a bit more expressive manner. The second tool would be mini rubrics for micro skills. One skill, one focus at a time. And then that eventually leads to one win. So you prevent the students from getting overwhelmed with too many measures, too many metrics, too many rubrics at the same time. So instead of grading the whole piece together, go one skill at a time when you're evaluating their writing. So first you evaluate, let's say, their sentence clarity. Next, you give them feedback. Next, you evaluate the flow of the paragraphs that they have used. Then you move on to evidence to reasoning pairing. And the last thing could be the descriptive details. And then you give them an overall feedback on the piece. So instead of going in depth and giving them all the feedback at the same time, you go one rubric at a time so that they process what you're trying to say. They understand why it is important. They make the change and then they move to the next step. So in this way, they focus deeply as you're giving them a targeted and a doable feedback rather than getting them overwhelmed before they've even started the correction or the enhancement process. The third tool that I would talk about is the logic ladder for explanatory writing. Now, this helps students link claims and reasons logically. So, number one, you talk about the claim. What do you believe? Write about what do you believe. Give reason. Why is that true? Why do you think that what you believe in is true? Number three, give evidence. How do you know that the claim that you're making is true? That is eventually leading you to believe in it so firmly. And lastly, the connection. Why does all this matter? So this turns a weak explanation into purposeful writing with flow and coherence. So if a sentence can't answer the why, how do you know, then you know that the student is not finished thinking yet. It has to answer all of this. And if your thinking is not complete, you cannot start with your writing midway. It'll again lead to a lot of corrections. So you get them to answer these 4 questions. This would be the logic ladder for explanatory writing. So you're linking a claim with a logical reason for the student and for the reader to know why the student is saying what he or she is saying. The next thing we'll touch upon would be the feedback that you as teachers or trainers give the students. And it's not just about fixing the mistakes or fixing the sentences. It's about teaching them how to think better or how to think correct. So what you're supposed to be correcting in a student's assignment or a work would be where or why it is missing logic, if there are any unclear ideas that you feel can be enhanced and refined better, weak connections, it's not, you're not able to connect with what the student has written, or you feel the student himself or herself is not able to connect with what he or she has written. They've just written something for the sake of it. And lastly, a mismatch of purpose. If you've asked them ABC and they've answered in XYZ, it's not helping you, not helping the student. So these are what you must correct and the things that you must give feedback on. Now, how do you correct? Number one, the glow and grow method. So you highlight maybe 1 or 2 places where the student's thinking was strong. This would be glow. So you highlight a positive piece about the student. It could be where there's a lot of clarity, good use of logic, good details mentioned, and there's a proper structure to the paragraph. So you give them a glow. The grow would be you give them 1 point of improvement that targets thought quality and not grammar. For example, it could be that, yes, this looks good. How about adding one reason to support your point? So this would be the glow and grow method. This way you're building confidence while sharpening their cognitive habits instead of overwhelming them with corrections and getting them to feel that, okay, what I've done is not good enough. The second would be thought prompts rather than immediate edits. So you've got a student who's come up to you with an answer, and you feel that the child can do better. There can be more details added to it. There can be more structure added to it. So you prompt the child with something more to think on rather than immediately making corrections or asking him or her to make edits to the paragraph. What exactly were you trying to say here? One of the questions that you could look at asking. So here the shift, the focus shifts from fixing to prompting their thinking. You can ask them questions like, what were you trying to say? What idea did you want the reader to understand first? And can you show this moment instead of telling it? So again, show, don't tell. That implies here. Now, these prompts help students in clarifying their intention, discovering the gaps between what they've written, and revising independently. So these are all concepts that come under the real writing process. You won't always have a teacher to guide you through this. So if they get into this habit of having a clear intention on what they are trying to say exactly, identifying the gaps between what they have written and correcting it, and thirdly, revising their work independently rather than having an adult at all times to tell them where they're going wrong or where things can get better. So these would be your thought prompts. And the third part would be to model the improved version side by side. So when you show them a before and after version next to each other, students can visually see how the thinking transforms better writing. So you can explain your thought process aloud while doing those corrections or while prompting them by giving them reason as to why you are doing what you're doing. Now, when you just tell them that your sentence needs more structure, the student may ask why. You can prompt the student with something like, maybe you can add a little more reason here. The student may wonder why. Why is it important for me to do that? So if you model the before and after version by giving them something to relate the progress with, they're able to understand a bit better as to why these things are important. So you can tell them that, okay, I added this because I wanted to make the reason clear. So the student has given you the answer, what their reasoning is, and then you tell them that, okay, this is your reason to add. Here's what I have added to this because I believe that this makes your reasoning more clear. Or I moved this sentence because it strengthens the sequence of your paragraph. So this helps the students in internalizing the mental models behind strong writing and not just the final product. They need to know that a structure is important, where what I'm supposed to add, or what is supposed to be in paragraph 1, paragraph 2, and so on. So this would be about modeling the improved version side by side. And with that, we are at a wrap. I've just touched on the surface level about certain tools and certain highlights of the session. So we learned about the writer's thinking cycle. We got to know about the meaning first paragraph method. We learned the cognitive ladder. We learned the difference between showing and telling. And we touched upon 3 tools of high impact tools for purpose. And of course, the effective feedback models. So would any of you have any questions for me before we are done in the chat box or on audio?
Thank you so much, Miss Sharon, for such an
So,
insightful
Shereen, if
session.
you could
Dear
unshare the
teachers,
screen and then let the teachers
yeah,
interact with you for questions. Thanks.
So,
Ashwia will help you conduct this segment. Ashwia, go ahead.
sure, right. Yeah, thank you so much, Miss Sharon, for such an insightful session. Truly, I felt that the tools that were introduced would be really helpful for us to, execute in class. I've jotted them down meticulously. So,
thank you.
teachers, we will now move into a short Q&A segment. This is your opportunity to seek clarity in whatever questions you may have in your class. Maybe you may have a specific child who has a certain struggle. Maybe I think it would be a great chance for you to coordinate with the expert that we have here today. If I may begin with Ms. Sharon, I must say I
Sure.
had a few questions prepared, some general questions that truly comes to our mind when we're actually working with the children. So my personal question was that how can teachers support the students who have ideas in their mind, but they hesitate to put them down on paper? For example, I have a little boy in my class. He's recently joined us. He has great ideas in his head because whenever he wants to speak something, his eye, lights up. There's a lot of expressions on his face, but he's at loss of words. I mean, I've tried frameworks with him and it somehow, comes forth. But is there any alternate way that could, accelerate the process that, that makes him feel stuck? He's literally with his mouth open and he's like, ma'am, I don't know what word to say. So if you could cover on to that, like he's hesitant to share it out.
So I'm not sure if he may have had an incident where probably at home or something, I'm not really sure, where he tried to talk something, where he tried to convey something, and either he was shut midway, or he was judged for it, or he was maybe as a child, he may have not said the correct sentence, and then he was immediately corrected. So he's afraid of doing the same thing again next time. That, okay, what if I say something now and it's again taking me back to that same point where I am either corrected, or the excitement that I have, right, stays there, but the focus completely shifts on maybe, correcting me or something. So that could be one. So number one would be, I think since US experts are already doing so much for the students, maybe get them to feel comfortable in talking to you with as basic words as they may have, and then eventually build on their vocabulary so that they may develop the right words. One strategy that I use to build on my vocabulary is reading newspapers. So I'm not sure what the age group of the student is that you're speaking about, but if maybe an upper primary or middle school level, then definitely number one would be building on the vocabulary. And number
So,
two would be, go ahead.
Miss Shirin, he's a third grader, and I must say the very first point that you said, the child has quite a, I would say, a
Fear of,
shadow, or yes, his mother. She's very, very, so much behind him. Even if a word goes here and there. There
mhm.
were times when I could literally
So
hear
he's
the
afraid of
parent,
judgment, then he's
yeah,
probably thinking
correcting
that
him
my mom would be,
while he's
what would my
speaking.
mom think?
While he's speaking to me in class, the parent would, loudly correct him. And
Mhm.
that child is, he shudders at the voice of his mother. So I think that could be the point where he has the
Yeah.
ideas, but he's very afraid of sharing it
Yeah.
out.
He might even have the right words. Maybe we won't even need the enhancement of his vocabulary. He might have the words at the tip of his tongue. He's just afraid to spill them out, fearing judgment or fearing correction. So first, we need to let them know that it's absolutely fine to convey something. Till you don't convey, there's no means for the other person or for yourself to get it corrected, right? So
Yeah.
that'll be something that I think I would suggest.
Oh, sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Miss Sania, I think, has a question to answer.
Hello, ma'am. How are
Hello.
you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
So I loved your presentation. There's one thing that I saw while you were presenting. You spoke about controlling logic. So I want to ask, to what extent do you think should we control the logic of a writing piece? Because, for example, there are certain genres like maybe science fiction or fantasy that requires you to lose the logic. So what do you
Mhm.
think? How would I go ahead with something like that?
Okay. So I won't really call it controlling logic, but perhaps something about relating logic with the imagination that you have, the reason of why you have added what you have added. Okay, so when you don't have a practical answer to why I'm writing this, it could be a thought, it could be um, an innovative idea that came to my mind and I wrote about it. But if you're not depicting that very clearly, using the right words, using sharp words in your sentence, the reader or the listener is not feeling it. This is your thought, not the listener's thought. So it may not necessarily be controlling logic, but having a decent answer to why I'm writing what I'm writing, having proper reasoning to it. So you have your critical thinking, you have your reasoning skills, you use that and you write, you respond to the what, why, when, where, and why. So as long as your paragraph is covering these things, I think it's absolutely fine. You should be able to depict your imagination in such a way that it connects with the reader, even if it may not necessarily be something that actually exists in the world. But why have you gone all the way there? What exactly is the thought process behind that imagination? Your answer or your piece of writing should be able to depict that clearly.
That answers my question. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Simran was raising her hand. Yes, Simran, go ahead.
Um, Hello, ma'am. I
Hello.
hope you
Good
are
evening.
good. Good evening, and it was really lovely listening to you. My
Thank
question
you.
is, like today's children, like they are reading wide variety of books. Like the young children, they have read all Harry Potter, and
Mhm.
and there are different genres, and the language there is also totally different. I mean, at times I find it very difficult to connect with them. So my question is it appropriate for us to channelize their thinking and guide them to go for certain kind of reading so that their writing skills are improved, or we should let them choose or allow them that creativity, that okay fine, these are the words that you're using, and because they want to connect with their peer group, and to look cool and all, so the language can be little different there. So how should we contribute there?
So, quite a relevant and interesting question. Thank you. I think the first uh, point that I would like to make a mention of, something that I relate to myself. I try to I try to learn as much about what the language of this time is. Still pretty different from how it was back in time when I was in school. It used to be pretty formal back then, and now I think even in schools, even in the manners in which we teach them the concepts, the learning styles, the teaching styles are moving a little bit more towards the Gen Z way of learning. So um, I think number one would be to get myself equipped with what the kids of today are doing so that I can understand. If there's no connect between me and the student, naturally I'll not be able to proceed. The kid would struggle. I wouldn't know how to help.
Right.
So number one would be to equip myself with what the children are doing today and how and why. Number two, not to control what they're reading. Of course, writing is all about creativity. We cannot limit them to do things a certain way. Then it completely, I think, kills the purpose of expression, the freedom that they have, which got them to writing in the first place. But instead of limiting their reading, I think when you just monitor the extent to which they are diverting from the structure of language. Now, they might be using different words from what we did, but I think ultimately the emotion that they're trying to convey would still remain the same generation after generation. So I think number one, I would just say about equipping ourselves. Number two would be not to limit their creative freedom, but at the same time, just monitoring that they're well within the limits of the language and using the right words, although of today's times, but they convey themselves, they convey their points and express themselves to the extent where the reader is able to connect with them.
Wonderful. Thank you for your input.
Anytime.
Any more questions? We take one last question. Okay, Radhika.
Hello, Miss May. Sorry, I joined late for the session because of network
Not a
problems.
problem.
Nice
Not a
to meet
problem.
you. It was really a wonderful session.
Thank you.
I would like to ask this for my daughter. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so my daughter is 7 year old. Okay, and then she's just a story maker, and she's very creative. Like she'll draw also nicely, she'll create her own story, and she has a particular expression, I would say. She'll take rounds in the house, okay, and she'll make up the story. Then I ask her, what am I? First of all, I was thinking that there is a problem. I was back then 2 years. I was thinking, what is the problem with her? Then I came to know when asking that she is a a story maker. She used to tell me, but sometimes now what happens? Like she is 7 year old, and now I don't want to be her in that world. I want her to be putting up that things into a paper. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
she is a not a fluent reader, I would say. Just she's just 7. Okay. But I don't know how to make encourage her putting that thoughts into a paper. So can you guide me on that?
I think it could be that she's taking a while to process all the thoughts that she's having and probably trying to get the right words that she can convey it to you and express it to you. Because given the expression that you're telling me, it shows me that she's really excited about something that has come in her mind. But she's just trying to find the right words so that you understand what exactly she wants to convey. The second thing would be, I think not everybody is inclined towards writing initially. There are some that you have to really push. Just as not everyone is good at speaking. So these are all skills that'll eventually come in with time. You could get her one
Oh,
exercise that I could suggest is maybe
Yeah.
Every day, you can get her to write 5 sentences, or maybe, however, if you feel that she's not much of a writer, I think 5 would be a decent figure. 5 sentences on what she observed, or um, what went well in the day, what was something that really excited her through the day, and why. Get her to develop sentences so that she gets into the habit of processing, framing sentences mentally, noting it down, and then conveying it to you. So you can ask her to read from the paper and then convey it to you. So that way, even when she is reading, she's talking to herself by writing things down and then thinking that, okay, is this sentence really expressing what I want to? If not, okay, I erase, I write the next sentence. And then the final piece comes out to you. I could think of that at the moment. If you feel, I mean, of course,
So
eventually
much.
if she gets into the habit of writing, that 5 sentences can increase up to 10 sentences. She gets more time to elaborate and expand on her ideas and then develop a story, I'm sure.
Yeah. For now, actually, I've started journaling with her. It was her birthday last month, so I gifted her my journaling karke 3 minutes journal. So at least she has started writing. Like we have missing the point sometimes, but now she has started at least 3 sentences. What do I like? So she is putting up that things.
Yeah, that's good. I think they just need the right path to start, and then eventually they pick things
Yeah.
forward. Then
I'm
correct.
just worried because she is just like always in that.
She's just
So I want
overwhelmed with so many
don't
thoughts
do
coming
that.
at the same
Yes. 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 That is the thing. Thank you. Thank you so much.
time. You're
Shereen,
welcome.
one bit before we conclude this event, a very quick
Sure.
question. How much is too much in writing? See, as English teachers and creative writing teachers, we are not just interested in what they are writing, but also how they are writing. So we're also looking at grammar, we're looking at sentence structure, we're looking at punctuation, we're looking at spellings, we're looking at vocabulary words. The list goes on. So how much is too much for us to focus on when we are, gauging their work? Because we at times get overwhelmed when we give feedback to teacher. Oh, your vocabulary is incorrect. Your punctuation is missing. Can you change your spelling? So many things. So do you think that is an obstacle that will, you know, n- curb the child's creativity when we keep pinpointing at those, or should we overlook at the beginning and then kind of tighten the structure?
Um, I would go back to the glow and grow method. So when you're giving feedback, you highlight the positives first, because the first 5 seconds of what you're speaking is where the child is absolutely focused on. So you get them in confidence that, okay, I'm working with someone who wants me to do better. The first 5 seconds really matter when you're giving a feedback to the student. So
Right.
first point would be to highlight on the positives of what the student has done. It Let's say, even if you don't see proper sentence structure, you don't see the right words, you don't see the clarity, maybe a lot of grammar mistakes as well, the very fact that you acknowledge that the student attempted the answer, you can probably
Highlight that.
yes, highlight that. So it acts as a positive reinforcement for the student that, okay, at least I tried. The next time they're not afraid of trying. After highlighting the goods, then you talk about what can be done better. And
So if in that aspect
the
we have
thought prompt.
six, seven
Mhm.
things, is that okay to point out? If in the group,
Giving them thought prompts,
yeah.
because I would look at it on a longer run. I wouldn't want them to be dependent on someone correcting them if they're wrong somewhere. I
Hmm.
would want them to learn where I'm going wrong, and next time why I should avoid it myself before someone tells me. I don't want that thought to be at the back of my mind that, okay, even if I do something wrong, the teacher is there to correct it for me, and then I'll correct it. So you
Okay.
get them into thought prompting, you get them into modeling side by side, so that they see why they are being corrected today, and the next time you give them an assignment, they don't repeat the same thing again. So you, instead of telling them to make edits then and there, you prompt them with, what exactly were you trying to say? Okay, do you think you could add a little more reasoning next time, and then you feel that the paragraph could sound better, or you would express better? So you put the ball in their court. You let them think that, okay, can I do this a little more better, rather than telling them what exactly needs to be done. You let them think. So first thing would be to prompt them with the thought prompts. I'm not asking about giving them writing prompts, but thought prompts. Get them to think why they did what they've done, how it can be made better. And the second thing would be to model it side by side, give them a before and after version so that they're able to see the difference on the importance of the correction that is needed. So the next time
So is it
they
right
would,
to say that we focus on quality at the beginning, not the quantity
I would go,
start with?
would go with quality any day. I would go with quality over quantity any day.
Yeah. Because as teachers, we do have pressure of us aligning to the school expectations of making them write longer paragraphs, certain word limits. So we also have to keep that in mind, right? So we start by focusing on quality and helping them proofread their own work, and
Yes.
rather than we pinpointing those errors,
Mhm.
right?
And giving them micro mini rubrics as we touched upon, going one by
Right.
one rather than overwhelming them altogether. And the next time you see that the student will absolutely
Correct.
struggle with even writing the basics because they feel that okay, it's not good enough. It's probably not going to be good enough next time either.
Right. So less is
Um,
more. We need to remember that.
Very true.
just
Right.
something to add up here. Ma'am,
Yes.
just to,
Last
yeah.
question and a very quick one, Ashfia.
Yeah, just to link it to Ms. Taranum's query that she raised, that if we want to suggest the areas of improvement, so should we go with the list of 6 to 7? Or what I wanted to know, what are the top three, if we could align
Yes.
it, top three crucial areas that are non-negotiable in creative writing or any writing if we are evaluating it? Like top three non-negotiable qualities that we should look for.
Um, I would say number one would be grammar. It it definitely works with me. That is one of the things, one of the first things that I look for would be the right use of grammar, grammar and punctuation. Number two, I would say the as long as the paragraph is answering the W's that we saw, the what
Yeah.
is the paragraph talking about, where, why is it being used here, the when maybe not, but the what, why, where. I think the W's, the four W's that we touched upon, it should answer that. So second, that is the second thing probably that you should be looking at. And the third would be how aligned is it with the structure? Is has the do you feel that the child is satisfied with the answer, or do you still feel that the child has more to say but is not able to get the right words? Then you start working with him or her on it. So number one would be the use of grammar. Number two would be um,
4 W's.
yeah, the four W's,
Yeah.
and the third one would be how satisfied is the child with what he or she has conveyed, or do you feel that the child can still do better? Then you know there's more work left to be done.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Shereen. Ashfia, over to you.
Sure. So before we wrap up, I'd like to thank Ms. Shirin for a meaningful and engaging session. Your insights on writing and thinking has truly given us a lot to reflect on, especially as I repeat the tools and the areas that we should be working on as teachers to help the children. They were truly helpful, and I think they're really going to help us in a long run in a practical way. Thank you to you, Ms. Taranum, for organizing this session and bringing everything together so smoothly. And yes, to all the educators for joining us today and being a part of this conversation. Thank you so much to everyone being here
Thank you
Thank you very much,
so
Ashfia,
much.
for taking
Thank
lead.
you
And
so
thank you,
thank you
much.
for
Shereen.
having
Thank you,
me.
Miss Shireen.
So insightful. I could see all my teachers hooked to the session right from the beginning, and there were so many takeaways from the session as well. So this shows your intricate planning from the start to the end to ensure that every bit that you've shared is of high impact to us as educators, and then we translate it to our classrooms. It has been great. Um, and again, as I said, it's a great way to end the year with a bang, and Shireen was the right person to come in and deliver this session at the Impact Hour. We would love to have you back, Shireen, with something new to learn for us.
Sure.
And of course, we would love to know about you, if you could share anything related to your work that you've done, the poetry that you would like to share it with us, the books that you've published, if you could send it across to us, I would love to share it with my team and let them know, and let them create the buzz that, yeah, we had somebody so intellectual and so creative
That's really kind of
platform.
you.
So
Thank you so much.
please
I'm
do share
humbled.
your
I
work.
was initially, in fact, thinking of how impactful this session is going to be because
Yeah,
I'm not one to do these kind of workshops that often. But it was entirely my pleasure to engage with your team and to hear from them what they are doing. And I'm sure there's a lot more that they do beyond what we covered in the session. But if anyone of you would like to stay connected, I'm sharing a QR code. Feel free to connect. I'll be more than happy to stay in touch.
please go ahead, everyone. I think LinkedIn is as you are active on LinkedIn as well, right, Shireen?
Yes, yes, I am.
Please
Yes.
follow her there. Let's stay connected. Our community grows when we do this. It's a simple act, but yes, when you step in, it grows bigger and stronger we get with time. So do go ahead and do it. And if you have any questions further, you would like to reach out to Shireen, do get in touch with me, and then we filter
Sure.
it down to Shireen as from time and again, right? And Shireen as well, if you would like to share any of your work with us, anytime you would want us to, go through it.
I'm not published. I've not got my book published as yet.
Okay,
I'm in the process of it though, but I do have my poems in a lot of magazines and a lot of
right. Please do
newspapers.
let
I've
us
got
know.
my articles and all of that as well. So I'll send the links across, and you can of course
Sure.
read them,
There's any
probably do a
feedback
bit of
form
a
you want us
review
to
and all
fill
of
for
that
you?
as well. I would love to know your feedback as well.
Yes, please. If there's anything like a Google form that you want us to fill and give it to you for your
Um,
future endeavors, we would love to do that as well.
sure, nothing at the moment, but I'll stay
Okay,
in touch with you and we'll work on this, and probably then
no
you can share
worries.
it with your team.
That's fine. Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you. Let's pose for a selfie, and we are done with our very insightful and engaging session. Everyone, a last smile of the day. Just, yeah, before you wrap up.
No, I think the screen is still shared. Miss Shireen's screen is still
No,
shared.
it's not.
Oh,
Is it?
sorry.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Shireen. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Sania, a bigger one, please. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. And thank you, Shireen,
Thank
once
you so
again, on
much.
behalf of Active Kids.
Entirely my
Thanks a
pleasure.
lot.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Divil, you stay
You.
back since we have a meeting. And rest, everyone can leave. Yeah. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Bye
you. Thank you.
bye.
Thank you for
Good
joining.
night.
Bye-bye,
For
ma'am.
joining.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye bye. Yes, Divil, I remembered. Yeah. Yeah, let's go ahead. Sana, you may leave. Ruman, even you can leave. Yeah, I'll stop the recording.